Hello, everyone, and welcome to Buy Bags. I'll be your reviewer for today. I'm Lonnie from Tats, and yeah, this week is a random week. So, and the movie that I decided to go ahead and do a review on, well, you already know by the title of the video, but I gotta say it anyway. The movie is from 1975. It's a British horror film directed by Pete Walker, and we are talking about House of Mortal Sin. And I just finished watching this a little while ago, and it's my first time. I had to let it I had to watch and kind of let it process a little bit, percolate a little bit. So, wow, this was an experience. This movie was an experience, and I do recommend it. It is a little bit of a slow burn. It does kind of take some time to get going, but it is a very interesting movie, and I will definitely say that the ending is really what kind of got me. It's like it really did not end the way I thought it was going to. Um, the story begins. We have this young girl named Valerie. She comes out of a church and she's crying. She goes home. Her parents, they're in the living room. They're watching TV. But they kind of notice that she comes in, but they're kind of not really paying much attention. But Valerie is crying. She runs upstairs. She goes into her room, locks the door. Her parents kind of like, okay, yeah, something's kind of odd here. So let's go up there and see if she's okay. So they go up there, they knock on the door. Valerie, we just need to know that you're okay. And they bust down the door, and they find out that she actually, you know, the, you know, it's like on the second floor. Her bedroom's on the second floor. She jumps to her death, and they come and they see she killed herself. And this is where our movie begins. Now we're introduced to Bernard, who is a young priest who's coming into this small village. He's going to go and he's going to, work at the local Catholic church. And the church is run by Father Meldrum. Is it Meldrum? Yeah, Meldrum. Sorry. It's, run by Father Meldrum. And Father Meldrum is a little bit off, just to say the least. I went into this movie kind of expecting a certain something, and it was different, which is one of the reasons why I liked it. Turned out it was a little bit different than what I initially thought I was going to get, so there's that. So as he's driving into town, he comes across this woman, Jenny, and it turns out that they're old friends, that they know each other, and that Bernard actually knows Jenny's sister too, Vanessa. So, they run into each other. They stop at a little cafe. They talk and everything. They're talking about, hey, it's like, Jenny's like, wow, I can't believe you decided to become a priest. And even he's like, well, kind of more like I just needed a job. And he's like, and I don't really have a place to stay and things like this. And so she invites him over to her flat, so that they can talk and everything. And, he can meet Vanessa again. They can catch up on old times and things like this. And so, Jenny, she goes home. Her sister's there. She's like, yeah, your boyfriend Terry, he's upstairs. Oh boy. It turns out that, even though Jenny is a very lovely, very sweet girl, she doesn't have the best, she's not really the best when it comes to picking guys. And Terry is definitely, not a good guy for girls to hook up with, but, the kind of chads you see, women going for. So she goes upstairs to talk to him. And he's talking about like he's got other women and he's going to leave her and all this other kind of stuff. And so she's upset about it. So she leaves the flat and she kind of just feels like she needs to talk to somebody. And she thinks maybe she can talk to Bernard. And so she goes to the church and she's, sitting there and people are, in the pews and they're praying and they're getting ready to go into their confession and stuff. And so she asks, she's asking around, is Bernard here? Do you know if Bernard's here and everything else? And, do you know who's doing the confessionals and things like this? And so she's having trouble finding Bernard, but at one point they urge her to go ahead and just go into the confessional and talk to the priest who's in the confessional. It turns out it's Father Meldrum. And so she goes in and she's talking to him and she's, I'm not sure I should be here. I don't really know why I came in. And he's like, it's okay, my child. Just talk about what's bothering you and stuff and everything. And so she starts kind of talking about like, her boyfriend, ex-boyfriend Terry and that, that they've been intimate and that he's leaving her and that, that at one point she got pregnant, she got an abortion and things like this. And it, of course, this, being a priest, he's not really keen on what she's telling him. And so he tells her, you need to come back and I need to talk to you more and all this kind of stuff. And she's like, I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, goodbye. And so she runs out of the church, but she ends up forgetting her keys. And so she runs into a friend of hers, and they both go up into the flat, and they're gonna have a cup of coffee and talk and stuff. And she's looking for her cigarettes, and you could definitely tell this is the 1970s, because she's like, yeah, there's no cigarettes here, so she's, I'm gonna take some change, go down the corner here, hit up the cigarette machine, get me a pack, and I'll be right back. So while she's out doing this, um, it turns out Father Meldrum is, like he said, he's kind of a psycho, and he sneaks into the house and he attempts to kill her friend, but he doesn't, completely succeed. And then she comes home, she finds him there. They take him to the hospital and stuff. Well, Bernard comes in and they're talking for a little bit, and they decide to have him move in with them. And so the next day, Jenny, she goes to the church, to get her keys back. And so Father Meldrum, he invites her in, and it turns out that he tape recorded their confession, and he's going to use it to blackmail her. And I think you can kind of already guess where this is going. The way he's going to blackmail her is that, he's going to, expose her, let the tape be played, let it know that she got an abortion and all this other kind of stuff. And, I don't know if that's the thing. I mean, I think like nowadays you could, I think if you tried to expose a woman for having an abortion, I think nowadays people would be like, who cares? It's like women have abortions a lot nowadays, that kind of a thing. So, it's definitely not uncommon. So who gives a rat's ass if a woman has an abortion and stuff, except for, protesters. But so anyway, so she's, and he's telling her like, well, we don't have to play the tapes, but here's the thing: you have to be mine. You have to be my lover, and all this, which is kind of funny because at one point, Father Meldrum and Bernard, they're having a discussion, and Bernard is talking about how they wanted to make changes to the Catholic Church in regards to the law of celibacy and things like this, or the rule of celibacy and things like this, and saying that like Catholic priests can get married and things like this, or that's what they were pushing for and things, and Father Meldrum is completely like old school, old revelations, fire and brimstone type of preacher. But he tries to blackmail Jenny into being his lover, his girlfriend, and he's got a woman. I'm sorry, I forget the character's name, but she's living with Father Meldrum, and she's taking care of his mother, but she's more abusing his mother every chance that she gets. And they do give an explanation as to why she's doing it. I'm not going to go into it here, trying to keep it spoiler free as I can. But so anyway, so she, Jenny, obviously she's upset. Her ex-boyfriend Terry comes back, wants to get back with her, and it turns out she's very like codependent and stuff. And she's like, oh, I can't live without him, and I got to be with him, and I got to have him here and stuff. And so they're reconciliating their relationship, and she explains to him what Meldrum has done. So he decides he's going to have a little powwow with Meldrum. So he goes over to the church, and he's being tough and threatening Meldrum and telling him, give me the tape and all this kind of stuff. I'm going to have to hurt you. And they're arguing, bickering, and Meldrum ends up killing him. And so then he comes to find out that the other guy that he thought was her boyfriend turns out wasn't. He still decides he needs to kill him anyway. Basically, what he wants to do is he wants to pretty much separate Jenny from everybody around her and kind of isolate her to kind of break her down so that he can control her. And so, she's doing everything she can to fight him, but the problem is her sister doesn't really believe her. Bernard doesn't really believe her, and that's kind of a thing. That's kind of a very big theme in this movie, is that because he's a priest, nobody really believes Jenny, and they figure it's like, well, he's a priest, he's a man of God, he's got to be honest and everything else. Like, why would he lie? All this kind of stuff. And so it's getting harder and harder to find anybody who believes her. But then it turns out the mother of Valerie, the girl from the beginning of the movie, they connect. and they're talking, and they're going to try to take him down. And as the movie progresses and it goes on, things start to happen. That Vanessa and Bernard, not only are they falling in love, but in the beginning they don't believe anything that Jenny is talking about. They even, Jenny even sees a doctor, and the doctor is talking about, like, he thinks that, well, you figure her boyfriend ran out on her, even though at this point they don't know that, Meldrum has killed, her boyfriend and stuff. So they think, she's acting out because her boyfriend left her, and, all this other kind of stuff. And so her friend died and all this kind of, so she's just acting out and all this kind of stuff. But as the movie progresses and goes on, Meldrum, starts making mistakes, and it turns out that, actually, I was getting ready to say something. No, I think I'm going to skip that part because that's kind of giving quite a bit of a chunk of the plot away, but do away with that. But turns out that, as the movie progresses, they start seeing things more clearly, more evidence kind of starts to come to light, and then they realize that actually, Jenny's not lying. It turns out that Meldrum is trying to manipulate her, and that he does have these tapes of her confession, and he plans to use it to blackmail her unless she pretty much gives herself to him and things like this. And so they want to try to, and so they start to uncover what he's doing, and then they want to put a stop to it, and have a final confrontation and things like this. And like I said, this movie was not what I thought it was going to be. I really thought going into this was going to be, 1975, and I have to admit I never really watched much of Pete Walker's films, but I really did think going in that this was going to be one of those kind of very sleazy, kind of, you had a lot of these movies in the 70s. You had these sleazy horror films about, like, you had movies kind of like Killer Nun, things like this, like movies about, priests and nuns doing really naughty things, and being sadistic and cruel, and getting into these kind of torturous, kind of hedonistic, kind of, sexual deviant acts and stuff like that. So that's what I thought this was going to be. And it turns out it's kind of like that, but really not, So, but the movie is a little bit of a slow build, and I will give credit. You do have some good actors in this movie. You have, Anthony Sharp, who most people would remember. He played the Prime Minister in A Clockwork Orange. And let's see. You have Stephanie Beacham is in this movie. You have Susan Penhaligon. She was in movies like, she was in Count Dracula with Louise Jourdan. She was in The Uncanny and things like this. She's been in quite a few, genre films and everything. And you do have a good cast. You do get some. There is a little bit of over the top performance, especially in Anthony Sharp's performance. But you do get this. You understand that he's insane, and here's a guy who's dealing with a lot of. Here's a guy who he's not doing very well with being a priest and the whole celibacy thing and all this kind of stuff. And the fact that he's trying to remain celibate and try to remain sinless and things like this. And, but at the same time, he's lusting after this young woman, and he wants her, he wants to control her and have her and all this kind of stuff. So, but very good performances, pretty much across the board. The actors do a great job. Just like I said, it's a little bit of a slow build, and the ending definitely does not go the way I thought it would. But I really do like the film overall, and if you're going into this movie hoping for a lot of gore, you're not going to get it. If you're going to this, there is a little bit of a sleazy element to it, but not by much. If you're going into this movie hoping you're going to see like a lot of softcore porn and nudity and all this kind of stuff, it's like you're not going to really get that either. But what you do get is you do get a well-crafted film, and you get a thought-provoking film that kind of gets you thinking a little bit, thinking about like, priests and the Catholic Church and things like this, and what goes on there, and all this kind of stuff. And especially in this day and age when you hear about stuff that priests are doing, and it, it's definitely not a new concept in horror. We've definitely seen these kind of, elements in horror films and genre films from years past. We've seen, lunatic, insane religious fanatics and just acting out and killing people, doing it because they think that they're doing what's right for the Lord, things like this. So many movies have that plot line, like right off the bat, like Red State, Kevin Smith comes to mind, things like this. So, but I would definitely say, yeah, if you come across it, give it a chance. And I, like I said, I'm kind of sorry. I know usually you think of the redemption line of movies. Usually you see a lot of sleaze, a lot of softcore, things like this. But this movie, you're not really going to get that, but you do get a very intriguing suspense thriller and a well-crafted tale, and so. But yeah, I would definitely recommend it. So, House of Mortal Sin, I'd say give it a shot if you get a chance. So, that's it. So, if anybody took the time to watch this, I thank you for doing it. I appreciate you for doing it. I also hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave it a like. If you haven't already, go and subscribe to the Body Bags channel. We have a different reviewer, one for every day of the week. I'm the Saturday reviewer. Great guys. Everybody's doing great stuff. And that's it. So, everybody, take care. Have a good night. And I'll see you next time.